Third and fourth match is like still really important because we're playing gauntlet no matter what. It's decided either we have to play 2 best-of-5 or 1 best-of-5.
Key to beating Immortals, shut down Huni and Rainover as always.
They're pretty prone to overextending and making mistakes.
But that's the Nexus turret down. The Nexus itself now under fire, running out of health, and there's no chance to defend it. Cloud9 get the win, and they tie the series.
What was Huni thinking there? There was no way that was going to be even close.
We will try our best to fix our problem, champion select, and like our decision making inside the game.
I hope we go into the next match trying to redeem ourselves.
Welcome to the Air Canada Centre in Toronto, Ontario. North America's best have descended on the Great White North to battle for pride, prestige, and the privilege of representing the region at Worlds. Here's a look live into the lobby. The fans already inside, bringing the hype of the LCS here into Canada. The energy is electric throughout the entire building as everybody's sporting CLG jerseys and Immortal jerseys alike continue to cheer for their fans. We see Darshan Sharp in CLG Special Edition Canadian jerseys themselves, his team prepping for the backstage battle, as well as Immortals, led by the top lane star Huni, bringing his trademark energy and excitement to the arena today. It's going to be an amazing matchup. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rivington Bison III, joined tonight by Counter Logic Gaming's owner, Hotshot GG, as well as analyst Alberto Crumsman Hifo and Isaac Azael Cummings Bentley. Gentlemen, I gotta say, for all of you now, welcome back to Canada. How's it feel to be home?
It's actually unreal to be back home where I grew up, watching Raptors games, watching Leafs games, with my family, and to have them here and be surrounded by thousands of incredible fans is just, I feel a little bit overwhelmed.
It's a wild dream. It feels like home, regardless of where we are in Canada, and I'm just so happy to be able to take part of this experience.
Hotshot, you've played in tournaments all around the world. I gotta ask you though, do you almost feel like you want to be sitting in one of those chairs tonight?
Yeah, I mean, that would have been a dream come true, but it's already a dream come true to be here. The fans are amazing. Like, you guys have such great energy. It feels, I'm so honored to be here. Coming here, playing the third place match, I wasn't, like, in my mind, it wasn't like as exciting as I thought it would be, but when I got here, I was just like, I was blown away. I'm nervous, I'm exhilarated, I'm so happy to be here, so.
Well, congratulations to all the success of CLG. May the best team win as we go ahead with the games today. Now, let's take a look and kick off the broadcast with a look at the playoff bracket. Obviously, TSM and Cloud9 were victorious last week in the semifinals. They will go ahead and face each other tomorrow for the title. But today, it's about today, if you will. Immortals and CLG battle it out for third place and 70 championship points. Which starting to mean quite a bit between these teams. With those 70 points up for grabs today, let's have a look at the broader qualification picture, because the winner automatically qualifies, goes on. Summer Split winner will move on. That leaves the team with the most points accumulated between Spring and Summer to be NA's second seed. And obviously you're fighting from first place, but like CLG in the Spring, if you can get those points, it's gonna help. The third ticket to Worlds goes to the team that wins the North American Regional Qualifier, which is seeded by those sweet, sweet championship points. And while you guys love those championship points, it's also almost up to a few of the other teams to help out Counter Logic Gaming here.
For sure.
For sure. Perfect answer. Yep. So it has been an incredible summer of games, but now it is time to recognize the NA LCS MVP. And here to announce the honor is Joshua Jatleesman.
Thank you very much, Riv. And yes, I'm here with something that clearly doesn't belong to me. This award belongs to the 2016 North American LCS Summer Split MVP.
Just by having him on your team, you have like the Bjergsen buff, which is like everyone wants to be like him.
Bjergsen with a 1v2, takes out 2.
Bjergsen is unstoppable in this game.
Gets it, shows him in as well, and there's first blood for Bjergsen.
Oh my goodness.
Sitting in 1,000 to 2,000 gold.
Oh my
God.
God.
There's the pop. Oh! How did he see him? Bjergsen's just dominating now.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2016 Summer Split MVP, Bjergsen! Bjergsen led TSM to a 17-1 regular season. The best in TSM's history. Take your award. Bjergsen, this is actually your third time winning the MVP award. No one else in North America has won it more than once. What does that mean to you?
Obviously, it means a lot. I think this year it means more than ever because NA has just grown stronger and stronger each split. And this season, I think NA has the strongest individual players that they've ever had. So I honestly didn't expect to win this award today and be here, so I'm very happy.
And speaking of strong individual players, the second place in voting was actually your teammate Doublelift. But tell me about the journey you took with TSM, because while it is an individual award, you need to pretty much be on a good team to win this award. So talk to me about what TSM meant to you this split.
It is a team game, and without my team, I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't look good enough to get this award. And I think especially Doublelift has taught me a lot about, he's a very creative player. He makes calls that I would never think of, and he makes me think outside the box a lot. He's very decisive, and he's taught me he's improved me a lot as like a teammate and a caller within the game. So I'm really grateful to have been able to play with Doublelift, and I think he deserves this award just as much as I do.
Thank you very much, Bjergsen. Give it up one more time for the MVP. Let's send it back to the desk.
Absolutely amazing stuff. I'd like to take a moment to welcome Mark Zimmerman to the desk, a staple here on the analyst side. I apologize, Dash isn't here, but you'll have him next week back in the LCS. An amazing thing, Bjergsen, obviously, to get that. He is one of the hardest working players out there. And one of the things I think is awesome about that to touch on is that the teammates themselves say, it makes us want to play better because he's so damn good.
To get a compliment like that, there's honestly no higher compliment than to have some of these other players who are completely world-class saying that you're their inspiration. Yeah. These guys are some of the best in the world at their roles, and they give that much respect to their leader, to Bjergsen.
Yeah, it's good to see it go back and forth, too, where he kind of pays it back to Doublelift, saying that he helps him with the shot calling. It's not all him, and it really is a team game that allows them to be so dominant.
And it's a scary thing, because when he first got here, he was still known, okay, this is going to be an amazing player, and ever since, he has not dropped a beat.
He's just getting better.
Yeah,
it's scary.
But that's only going to make skill around the LCS better. We see people like Jensen even getting better, and those are two guys that talk all the time. And sometimes you hear them saying, I'm not even really sure what's good on this patch next, so we'll be able to talk to each other and kind of file it out. And those are actually the two teams we have facing off, which makes it even more awesome in that sense. So looking forward here, there is so much going on this weekend. CLG versus Immortals is going to be up first. Talk a little bit about that match. Counterlogic Gaming obviously having a rough split, but for Immortals to find themselves here again is almost unthinkable.
It's heartbreaking, and you saw it on their faces. Game 5 this time, I think, makes it even worse. They're this close to finally make it to the finals after two of the most successful regular season splits in NA LCS history. They're in the third place match again. That's not where they wanted to be. It's not where they thought they would be, and that hurts.
Yeah, and it's going to kind of be out of their control, too, if they ever do, have to get to Worlds. It's not just like, oh, we win this match and we go. It's on other teams as well.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to meet the players right now to kick off the NA Finals as only he can. I am proud to welcome the golden voice of Black Enola.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our combatants for your 2016 North American Summer Split third place match. Introducing first, two-time North American champions and second place finishers from the 2016 Mid-Season Invitational, Counterlogic Gaming!
CLG will not go quietly into the night. Will they really make it the comeback?
CLG show that while Team Liquid's talent may be undeniable, their poise is unbreakable.
In the top lane, it's two-time LCS champion, Deshawn! In the jungle, it's two-time World Championship participant, Smithy! Their man in the mid lane, 2016 Spring Split champion, Hoohee! It's MSI's group stage all-team AD carry, Stixie! Their star support and team captain of CLG, Afromoo! And the coach of CLG is Six. Ladies and gentlemen, Counter Logic Gaming! Introducing their opponents, it's one of LCS's newest squads. In their freshman year, they've managed to dominate the league in back-to-back splits. It's the group that never says die, Immortals!
Here's Photo, huge ulti back in, scoops them all in. That's the game, that's the match, that's playoff secured for Immortals.
Immortals put on a show.
In the top lane, it's world semifinalist, Hoohee! In the jungle, three-time first All-Pro LCS jungler, Rainover. In the mid lane, former LCS champion, Hobelter. At AD carry, it's three-time LCS champion, Wild Turtle! Next is the Spring Split first All-Pro team to support Adrian. And coaching for Immortals, Dylan Falco. Toronto, let's hear it one last time for our combatants, CLG and Immortals.
It's going to be one heck of a matchup. All the players poised on stage, showing they are completely ready. And I think if they're not, the crowd has then energized them, because I am sitting here grinning like an idiot every time everyone cheers. I'm feeling what Isaac is feeling, just being home. And this isn't even my home.
It's not cold in here, but we're getting chills.
Oh my word.
The turtle
That's
entrance.
awesome.
How cool is that?
Yeah, the flag.
There's nothing better than that. That's every
Okay.
kid's dream.
I can't wait. So after a tough semifinal round losses for CLG and Immortals, each team gets an opportunity now to right the ship here in the third place match and grab the 70 championship points along the way that we talked about.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is that they need to win and have TSM also win. And
Right.
Having been in that position before when we were coaching, I was coaching last season, it feels terrible to hope that like you have to just trust this team to do the right thing.
And ultimately, when it comes down to that, you just forget about it and focus solely on the game, because ultimately they do have Worlds in sight. They want to qualify for that, even if they have to get past a regional qualifier. So improving their own play and looking into their mistakes is going to be more important than worrying about if somebody else wins it for you.
Right, and you have to think, if Cloud9 does win that sends CLG to the regional qualifier, and they've already been having a tough year, can they duke it out even more? They kind of need it here.
Yeah, exactly. You need to be able to step up in these high pressure situations, perform on this kind of a stage. And, you know, last week they kind of faltered. They need to show that they are going to be that tough opponent. Whether TSM wins or C9 wins, they have to be confident that they can make it to Worlds.
And a good thing to point out, too, is the fact that they were against TSM, who is one of, if not the most dominant team we've ever seen in North America. So it's a little bit of a push and pull where it's like, they might have underperformed a little bit, but they are against the Goliath of TSM. So
that is the question there in that match, though. Could you say CLG played bad and TSM played really good, or was it kind of a combination?
It's always a little mixture of both. CLG obviously did have things to improve on. They did have a little bit of issues before coming into the semifinals, but I think that they should be able to resolve those rather quickly and figure out a way to get back on track.
Right, and on the flip side, you have Immortals, who, I mean, they are like heartbreak incarnate. Like, it's just hard to imagine like a more unfortunate circumstance to a team. Well, not circumstance, but outcome given what we were expecting.
Yeah.
A very familiar position for them now, obviously. Such a strong split, but do they tunnel themselves into this position? Who's to blame? Is there anybody to blame? Does it just happen?
You know, I think right now there's no need to be pointing out blame at anybody, but I think it's most likely looking like a repeat of what happened last split, where they can't make it out of the semis and immediately tunnel down, focus on what the next objective is, which is making it out of this match.
Right, I think that's really where you see how a team's like composure is, where they lose this heartbreaking way, but then they come back with fire and just dominate in the third place match.
And that's what we think about is, can they keep that confidence going? This could be a huge blow to that. And then we just have to see what kind of happens in the regional or next year. It becomes very, very crazy in that sense. Huni was a focal point in IMT and C9. His consistent dominance in that top lane also makes for kind of an occasional failure. We talked about the high highs, but also the low lows.
And this is a guy where it's like, if you can't love him at his worst, you don't deserve him at his best. He's gonna feed in some of those games, but he's also, people gave him so much crap last weekend, and he hard carried both their wins. He did over 1,000 damage per minute. He's crushing in a lot of these games, and yes, he plays high risk, which means that sometimes he can fall flat, but he also really does have some incredible performances.
The only downside is that he requires so many resources from the team to actually get him to that point. While I think it's amazing that he can actually pull this off, Immortals has to find a way to get more consistency and make their plan a little less obvious. I mean, you heard CLG knowing, oh, same thing as always, shut down Reignover, shut down Huni, but it's not that easy.
And some credit needs to be given to Pobelter, who has played a lot better this season, and that's a guy that can be given that attention from Reignover and can carry games as well.
Yeah, I think that's really the thing that makes Immortals tick so well, is that they have this very self-dependent mid laner, a top laner who wants all that attention, and Snowball in a bot lane that can do whatever's asked of them. And that's kind of how they've worked this whole time. But like you said, it does lead to a little bit of predictability where it's like, where's Reignover going? Probably top side.
And that predictability, it's all season long. How much time does it actually take to change it? Is there even a chance that they did between then and now?
It's unlikely, but I mean, regardless of that, I think CLG's plan around that will be quite obvious as well. So both teams are just kind of clash head to head like a bunch of rams.
And the fact of the matter is, predictable or not, these guys hardly ever lose, right? Yeah. He's 51-3 in the last two regular season splits, so it's like, oh, he's so predictable, it's so easy to beat him. Well, 51 times out of the last 54 times, people knew what he was going to do and lost anyway.
The interesting thing is that their first loss in spring was to CLG, where they were able to shut him down really hard. And I know it's a very different split in game from there, but it was a standard lane game, and that's kind of what we're in right now. So I think you see that CLG has the tools to enact this game plan of shutting down Huni.
All right, so we have a little time to go in. I actually want to look at the jungle matchup in this because Reignover versus Xmithie seems a little tilted in Reignover's favor. What can Counter Logic Gaming do off the bat to kind of stop that? Because we already talked about Huni. Reignover Huni is something that needs to be stopped.
So Reignover is an absolute beast. He's so good. He knows where to be at the right time, knows how to punish well to get himself ahead and transition that lead into his allies. Yeah. But the one thing that CLG can do that they've been doing for a while now is utilizing their laners to help with the jungle. So for example, Xmithie can't really take over the jungle by himself. If he has his laners, if he has who he come in, help him push the wave. All right, you're invading S2, setting up vision, making sure that you know where Reignover is. Same thing with the dual lane, as we saw them in their match against TSM. They should be able to keep tabs on him. Unfortunately, Immortals did the same thing and with a little bit more success.
And I mean, jungle support synergy is obviously huge. And Afromu is a guy who has been massive for this team. He's a leader on the team. And him and Xmithie work very, very well together. And I think especially when you have Afromu on those playmaking champions, it can be pretty scary when you have those two guys up in your face in the jungle on plays, on champions like Bard, where he can make so many plays.
Yeah, I think that's really the interesting things when we start looking at the champ pools, because jungle is one that's kind of stagnated into this Rek'Sai Gragas matchup. And you don't have this surprise factor of like, what's Reignover going to play? Because he sometimes busts out that Olaf, those kinds of picks that you're not quite ready for. And he's able to take over games with that. And the fact that it's stagnated so much I'm interested to see if the teams have prepared anything interesting for themselves, because it would be the kind of thing where you can surprise somebody, because everyone's just expecting, I take Rek'Sai, you take Gragas.
Now, see, that'll switch from side to side. Looking at the mid lane now, Buhi versus Pobelter, a guy that stepped in for Pobelter on that team to make sure things could keep going, was able to carry for the championship, but now these two face off against each other. And it kind of seems like they both have glowing moments, but also can almost be neutral in a game and not have anything to do with it.
Well, both these mid laners don't get a whole lot of help from their team. They're more like, here's your self-sustaining. I mean, CLG has been vocal about trying to make sure that they can help out Huhi, have him influence other aspects of the map. And Pobelter just gets left on an island because they trust him. They know what he can do with little resources. He dishes out significant amounts of DPS for the gold that he's getting. But even then, these laners don't really use their advantages to the fullest. So it has to come down to this, again, the supports and the junglers, making sure that you can transition the advantages that mid lane can get on their own into the lanes.
I think the thing to worry about too is the fact that Pobelter doesn't really have like that valley, where he's like, oh, he's doing pretty good, and then he just gets, destroyed one game. Whereas we've seen he sometimes gets abused pretty hard, and I don't think Pobelter is exactly the matchup that's going to do it, but you do have to worry about just that jungle pressure one game where you just, your mid gets blown open, your turret's down at 10 minutes, and then they're exerting their pressure on the rest of the map.
All right, so I'm not going to hold you to this. We're not going to graph it out throughout. We have 1 minute left before we have to throw to the game and get this awesome series of events underway. I'm going to ask you guys, how do you think this is tilting? Which way is it going to go, do you feel?
Hopefully no one's tilting.
That's the concern.
Mark, starting with you.
I would go for Immortals, and I'm going to say 3-0. I think that they are just so strong. Yeah, I'll go way over the top on this. I think it's 3-0. Right. I think it's the kind of thing where once they get momentum, assuming they win the first game, they're just going to ride off that. The crowd is obviously crazy, and I think they're the kind of emotional, not like emotional, but when they get going, they start feeling themselves pretty hard. Yeah, they're hypey. So I think
there you go.
The venue plus if they pick up that first win, we'll just carry them through.
Boom.
I'm going to go with Immortals as well, but in a 3-1 fashion. I do think that CLG has the ability to take some games, and I don't think it's going to be that lopsided that it could be an all-out stomp.
Some faith shining through there. Isaac?
It's tough, man. I mean, it's looking like a little bit of a repeat of last split in the third place match where you have to favor Immortals coming into this, and I do think it, CLG, I hope they can prove me wrong and make this a really, really close one, but I do think it's certainly Immortals' favor, and I think it's going to be 3-1.
Yeah, tough matchup to really look at from CLG's side here, with the fact that it wasn't a series of events where they said, yeah, we usually slump in the middle, pick ourselves back up at the end. It actually seemed like a lot of things behind the scenes, as Darshan had said. We're trying to fix a lot of things that make us be better as a team, and then the gameplay after that. And I think the gameplay is what a lot of people were expecting to happen right away for CLG.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a concern to hope that they have picked up, because they did kind of slump at the end of the season. The loss to Apex, it seemed like they had a good win over Team Liquid, but apparently they were struggling a lot, and then they kind of get beaten up by a really strong TSM. So there's a little bit of a question mark of where exactly are they?
Well, and one thing, you can never count CLG out, though, right? People were betting against them last year in the finals. People were betting against them at MSI, and this team does seem to kind of thrive in that. Exactly. They trust each other. They talk a lot about that, how they really are truly a team. They're not individual players, and their success comes from being such a cohesive unit, and I hope we can see that here today.
Well, they're a team that you just cannot say on paper they're going to win or lose this match. Right. They have that X factor that you just can't quantify, and that's what's so exciting about watching them. You just never really know what kind of play they're going to come up. I mean, when we saw the new meta, they kind of innovated with the whole, hey, let's go ahead and swap to the top side and try to get that turret in the first turret as quickly as possible, and they caught Team Liquid off guard.
Well, we'll see what they can produce. We talked a little bit about the matchups, and there is a surefire thing that Reignover has been a key to Immortal's success, and he shares with us that he knows all too well how important this match is for his team.
Third and fourth match is still really important, because we since we lost semifinal, most likely we're gonna have to play a gauntlet for World, and by winning third and fourth match, I think it's decided either we have to play 2 best-of-5 or 1 best-of-5. So of course it's really important for us to win third and fourth match.
Well, Reignover knows the stakes. Welcome, everyone. I'm Julian Pastry Time Car here with Sam, Kobe, Hartman, Kenza, and Aiden Zyrene Moon. We're jumping into Champ Select for this best-of-5 between